Hey, how's it going? Checking out a new CD from the Jim Markway Quartet called Forward Motion. Jim is a working jazz bass player that lives in New Orleans, and when Katrina came to town a few years ago, he lost everything he had, including a couple of vintage Fender Jazz basses. But against all hope, he sent those two basses to Amy Hopkins to try and see if she could repair them, and Amy pulled the pickups out and sent them to me to see what I could do with them. I'm proud to report I had some success. Let's take a look at what it took to get one of the pickups from his Blond bass back in working order.
According to Jim, the bass was standing in contaminated floodwaters for over 2 weeks. It's a refinished player's bass, says Jim about his 1969 Fender Jazz bass. I bought it in 1970, my first pro bass. I had it defretted in the late 70s. Jaco played it in the 80s when he was crashing and burning and somehow messed up the neck. I put a Warmoth fretless neck on it, and it was actually better. This sort of job takes on a different feel when you've heard the story behind them. Suddenly, it's not just another pickup. It's a tool of a self-employed pro player, typically playing 350 to 450 shows a year. It's a piece of history, and it has its own story to tell. They're caked in Katrina crud, the bobbins are warped and stained. These leads are not proper for a 1969 Fender, so while we're at it, we'll replace those. The meter tells us that these pickups have open coils, and here's why. The wires broke at the solder joint. We might get lucky on this one. Alright, it's time to see just how stubborn this Katrina crud is. Lots of it comes off the flatwork with just a good brushing. However, some of the crud on the flats persists, and the windings are not coming clean at all. Drastic measures will need to be taken to get this pickup back in shape. It's time to reach for the secret weapon. Well, it was a secret, till just now. We let the pickup soup stew for a while, in a jewelry cleaner from the Sharper Image. Those guys make the coolest stuff. See, it's already looking better. Let's let it run a few more times. Okay, it actually took many times before I was willing to call it clean. Once it's clean, I let it sit for a week or so to be sure everything's dry. Then I remove the old leads and get it into my handy wax pot, soaked for a long time. I want to get the four-bond as flexible as possible. To try to get this bobbin back into shape, I modified this clamp to act as a press. 2 small strips of phenolic allow the magnets to rest between them while pressing the flatwork, well, flat. I have to get it into the press and smash it while it's still hot. See, Uncle? See how lopsided that coil is? It's that sort of random pattern coil winding that gives these old Fender pickups their individual personalities. To rewind it would change its sound forever. After it's cooled for a few hours, it comes out very flat indeed. Not bad, huh? Next, I unwrap the last turn of the coil, thread it through the eyelet again, and solder the new leads. One more dip in the wax pot, and it's 1 down, 1 to go, another town, and 1 more show. That's really all there was to fixing these 4 jazz bass pickups. I got all 4 of them flattened out, cleaned up, put back together, and operating fully, and I didn't have to rewind a single one. When you're restoring something that's vintage like these pickups, it's important to try as hard as you can to not molest anything that was there originally. These are vintage units and they need to be respected.
You know, it seems like you can't swing a dead cat these days without hitting a boutique pickup expert. Most of them wouldn't have bothered to go on nearly as far as I want to try and save these rare pickups. Keep that in mind next time you find yourself in need of a pickup man. The tune you're listening to is called Halifax. It's from the Jim Markway Quartet CD called Forward Motion. You can get it from the Louisiana Music Factory. It's one of the few brick-and-mortar stores still up and operating in the Big Easy. Or you can just get it off of their website, louisianamusicfactory.com. You can also check out the rest of Jim Markway's work at jimmarkway.com. Well, I hope you've learned a little something about pickups today. I'll be seeing you later. Bye.